Welcome beautiful Paris Saint-Germain family. In today's video we will be predicting match week 2 of the UEFA Champions League games. Let's get into it. But before we do that, let's do a quick reaction on match week 1 predictions to see if I was correct. Right? Let's go through it. Arsenal, Atletico Bilbao. This game obviously finished 2-0. And I predicted a 2-0 to Arsenal. Next up, I know this is a bad one. San Gilois won 3-1. I predicted PSV to win 3-1. Complete opposite. This was another surprise. Qarabag beat Benfica 3-2 away in Portugal. And I predicted a 4-1. 4-0, not the best. Juventus Dortmund, this goal had a lot of goals in it. 4-4 finished the game. And I predicted, let me see... Talked a long time here. 3-2 to Juventus I predicted. So I knew there was going to be a lot of goals. But not really 4-4. Marseille versus Madrid. I'm pretty sure I predicted a 3-1. Yeah, and the game finished 2-1. A bit close. Spurs Villarreal predicted 2-1 to Spurs. Spurs obviously won the game 1-0. Olympiacos versus Pafos finished 0-0, and I predicted 3-0 to Olympiacos. Another wrong prediction. Slavia Prague versus Bodo Glimt 1-1, and the game finished 2-2. I will take that. Inter Milan versus Ajax finished 2-0 to Inter. No, so I actually, if you go back and listen to the video, I predicted 2-1 to Inter. I accidentally put 2-1 to Ajax. But yeah, that was a good prediction. Bayern Chelsea. I think I predicted that the game obviously ended 3-1. And I predicted a 3-2. But if you go back to the video, I was first saying 3-1. Then I was like, let me respect Chelsea. And I moved it to 3-2. So actually, good prediction so far for myself. This game obviously finished 3-2 to Liverpool. And I predicted, I think, 3-1 to Liverpool. Again, close enough. Paris Saint-Germain versus Atalanta. I think I predicted 3-0 if I'm correct. The game obviously finished 4-0. So... even my prediction wasn't as good as Paris Saint-Germain's performance. Club Brugge unfortunately smacked Monaco 4-1. Predicted Monaco 2-1. That did not go well. Bayern Leverkusen versus Copenhagen. I think I predicted a big Leverkusen. 3-1? I think it's 3-1 to Leverkusen. I think I put the score once again in the wrong place. The game finished 2-2 between the two clubs. Frankfurt versus Galatasaray. I thought this would be a tightish game. I think 2-2. The game finished 5-1 to Frankfurt. That's probably the worst prediction. City versus Napoli. I think it ended 2-0. Yeah, and I predicted 2-1. Cheeky prediction. Obviously, I predicted Newcastle to beat Barca in this game 3-1. Barca... great performance away at St. James Park, beating them 2-1. And then Sporting Lisbon, Kairat, finished 4-1. I predicted 3-0. That's actually good. And that was it for the review of match week 1. Let's get into match week 2 and hope for better predictions. First game to look at is Atalanta versus Club Brugge. Club Brugge obviously beat Monaco 4-1 in their recent game in the UEFA Champions League, whilst Atalanta got pumped by Paris Saint-Germain 4-0. Club Brugge obviously knocked out Atalanta last season from the round of 32. And I actually watched one of the games, and Atalanta was the better team. They just didn't take their chances, whilst Club Brugge took their chances. We all remember that Toloi moment at the end of the game as well. But Atalanta gotta do something. They're at home. It's their early fixture game against Club Brugge right here. They gotta pick up the points. They have to. They got slapped 4-0. Probably, maybe some of their players, Ederson, Scamacca, and Lukman missed our game. Maybe they're back for this Atalanta game versus Club Brugge. I want to see a draw, but I think Atalanta, even getting knocked out by Club Brugge last season, they need to win this game. I'm going to say a 2-1 dirty victory for Atalanta. Next up is Real Madrid versus Kairat Almaty. Real Madrid going all the way to Kazakhstan to play this game. An early game. I'll probably do a watch-along on that game. Let's not dwell on this one a bit too much. I think Real Madrid will win this game against Kairat Almaty and pick up another 3 points. Let's go 3-0 Real Madrid. Not too much stat padding. Next up is Atletico Madrid versus Frankfurt. Frankfurt obviously beat Galatasaray 5-1, whilst Atletico Madrid lost in the last minute versus Liverpool at Anfield. And Atletico Madrid, they've been very weird in the La Liga table, dropping a lot of points, but then when they played Villarreal, they won. And they're going to play Madrid soon. So obviously it would have been a bit easier if I made this prediction video after the Atletico Madrid derby was played. But you know what? I'm going to go for Atletico Madrid victory. They are at the Metropolitano. They need to pick up points in this game. And I think that's going to be the theme for a lot of these predictions. Teams that drop points will want to bring some points in this tie. I'm going to say Atletico Madrid 1-0. Dirty 1-0 from Atletico Madrid. Next up is Tottenham Hotspur versus Bodo Glimt. Tottenham beat Villarreal 1-0. Good result away as well. Was it away? Could have been at home. And now they're going to face Bodo Glimt. And I think Tottenham faced Bodo Glimt in the Europa League semi-final last year. So a rematch of that game. Bodo Glimt obviously got a 2-2 versus Slavia Prague away. I could see Bodo Glimt win this. I think they potentially even beat Spurs in one of the ties, and then Spurs made a comeback in another tie, and this game is going to be played in Norway as well. Let's go for a draw. Let's go for another Bodo Glimt draw. 2-2 between Bodo Glimt and Tottenham Hotspurs. Next up is Chelsea versus Benfica. Benfica obviously lost to Qarabag 3-2 at their own home stadium, sacked their manager basically a day after that, and brought in Jose Mourinho, who dropped points in his recent game as well. Facing up against Chelsea at the Brugge, Chelsea lost points versus Bayern. They gotta win this game. I'm gonna go Chelsea 2-0 victory in the reunion game versus Mourinho. Next up is Galatasaray versus Liverpool, a game I'm thinking of potentially doing a watch-along on. It's either that game or Marseille Ajax on Tuesday. Galatasaray at their home stadium versus Liverpool. Liverpool obviously managed to pick up the 3 points, whilst Galatasaray got slapped up by Frankfurt, which was a little bit unexpected. Liverpool still have won every single game so far this season. But you know what? I'm going to go for a draw in that game. I think Liverpool would still take a draw after that victory versus Atletico Madrid, and Galatasaray gotta get something back at their home stadium. Let's go for a 2-2 draw. Next up is Inter Milan versus Slavia Prague. Inter Milan picked up the points. Slavia Prague got a draw, but I think this is an easy one to predict. Inter at home, stable. Let's go for another 2-0 victory. Marseille gonna play Ajax away in the Netherlands. Marseille obviously had a good performance versus Madrid, and then a very impressive performance versus Paris Saint-Germain. So they're coming in with insane confidence into this game, and maybe for one of the first times I'm actually going to be forced to predict something for Marseille. I actually believe they have faced a couple of times Ajax previously in the Europa League and maybe potentially in the Champions League as well. But Marseille, this should be a game they should pick up the points with the morale, with the confidence they got. I'm going to go for a 3-2 Marseille victory. Next up is Pafos away versus Bayern München. Bayern going all the way to Cyprus, I believe, to face off versus Pafos. Bayern München have looked extremely strong. I would say the strongest team so far this season. They're going to go to Pafos and stat pad. Let's go for a 4-0 prediction for Bayern München versus Pafos. And now let's move on to Wednesday. Copenhagen versus Qarabag. Copenhagen drew at home versus Leverkusen, whilst Qarabag, they got that impressive victory versus Benfica, and they will be really high confidence playing the early game at home in Azerbaijan as well. Yeah, very sure it's Azerbaijan against Copenhagen. Copenhagen would want to pick up points, even though it was a good performance. I don't know how good this Qarabag team. That's the thing. Was it a surprising result versus Benfica? Because I saw it. Benfica had the 2-0 lead, and then they bottled the lead. So you know what? I'm not going to go for a Qarabag victory. That's a bit too much. I'm going to go for a draw. 1-1 between Qarabag and Copenhagen. Union Saint-Gilloise versus Newcastle. Newcastle have looked good in the Premier League. They looked decent to good in the Barca game. Just didn't have the individual moments that, you know, can win your Champions League games. That's the theme with these Premier League systematic teams. Union Saint-Gilloise, obviously, they beat PSV 3-1 away. That was a very impressive performance from Union Saint-Gilloise. And the game is going to be played in Belgium. I'm going to go for a draw. 2-2 between the two teams. Arsenal versus Olympiacos at the Emirates. Arsenal have a really great record since returning to the Champions League at the Emirates, and Olympiacos drew to Pafos out of all teams. So I think Arsenal are going to smack Olympiacos. Let's go for a 4... Are Arsenal going to concede? Let's go for a 4-1 victory to Arsenal in this game. Paris Saint-Germain versus FC Barcelona. The juicy tie. Obviously, I've made so many videos reviewing, predicting this game, so I'm going to keep it simple. I have had a bunch of predictions for this game. I had 3-2, I had 2-2, I had 2-1. With all of the injuries out, I do think the injuries will affect Barca more than PSG. Juan Garcia really big, Rafinha really big. Fermin not the biggest, but because Olmo is not in good form, it's a little bit big. Balde and Yamal should be back. I'm going to predict a 2-1 victory to Paris Saint-Germain in this game. Next up is Bayer Leverkusen versus PSV Eindhoven. Leverkusen drop points, PSV drop points. I'm sensing another dirty draw here, but you know what? Let's go for a Leverkusen win. PSV starting off with 2 defeats so far this season. Leverkusen to win this game 3-1. Next up is Dortmund versus Atletico Bilbao. Dortmund obviously got a draw versus Juventus away. Basel a 4-2 lead. Atletico Bilbao lost to Arsenal at home, I think 2-0. Dortmund have looked good this season, so I'm going to back Dortmund, especially in their own home stadium. They haven't lost there since 2017, apart from the Barca group stage game last season. I'm going to go for a Dortmund 3-1 victory. Next up is AS Monaco versus Manchester City. We all remember the previous Monaco City game where Falcao and Mbappe and that Monaco team starred in, but this is a different Monaco team. It's still Pep City, away in Monaco. Monaco obviously lost 4-1 to Club Brugge, sitting top of the table ahead of Paris Saint-Germain in the Liga and table. I'm sensing a draw or a tough victory for City. I'm going for a 3-2 victory to Manchester City in this game. Second to last, Napoli versus Sporting Lisbon. Napoli lost 2-0 to City, but they had a red card early on. Sporting beat Kairat with ease. I think Napoli are going to win this game 2-0 to Napoli. And lastly but not least, Villarreal versus Juventus. Another memorable game. We remember that when Villarreal knocked Juventus out and then later knocked Bayern Munich out, reaching the Champions League semi-final. Villarreal have been looking good this season. So have Juventus. Gonna go for another draw here. A lot of draws because I just can't pick a team. I'm gonna go for a 2-2 draw between Juventus and Villarreal. And that finishes it off for match week 2 of the UEFA Champions League predictions. Hopefully guys have enjoyed this video and are enjoying the Champions League predictions. Let me know in the comments down below your predictions. And as usual, allez Paris.